Okay, so I want to talk about people asking if I'm mixed or what am I mixed with. I wish people would stop asking me that. Or I don't think that that question should be tolerated anymore. And I don't even believe in being mixed anymore. It doesn't exist. Being mixed doesn't exist. Okay. Um, a Gaian, my all my originators were Gaian. A Gaian, you can't mix a Gaian with a Gaian. We're just Gaian. Okay. Um, we're not mixed. A Gaian can't be mixed. Okay. People can just look like their parents. That's what I am. I just look like my parents. That's why I look like this. I look like my parent. um, okay. Um, again, Gaians, you can't mix it's a Gaian mixed with a Gaian, which is not mixed at all. Okay. Now there's a more technical term, more academic term, admixed, which might still have some utility because yes, there is sort of these different. They're not even gene pools, right? Because like if Navi were real and elves were real, there would be an elf gene pool and a Navi gene pool. There's no white gene pool. There's no black gene pool. There's just a Gaian gene pool. Now, are there different facets of that gene pool where there's like a different concentrations of certain genes? Yes. And we can use color red, orange, yellow, green, blue, purple, right? So, yes, I am admixed with mostly like violet and some red, but that's based on like point what 1%, 0.1% of our DNA, and we're still 99% genetically similar. Like um that in that 1%, that 0.1% goes away so quickly. Like, so it's still not, so that could communicate something that's still conceptual, it's still imaginary. um okay, it's still just a concentration of Gaian genes, it's still all just Gaian, but I am, but mix, just saying mix, no, I'm not mixed. A person can be mixed. What are we really saying when we're saying a person is mixed? Because you can tell that it's just used so inconsistently. Like, say someone who's like there's people who are like, who has two different parents from Gaian facets, right? But they might just look like one, typically of that population of another thing. Like, it can be an Asian coded passing person who has a parent who's not from a yellow gene pool, but we don't call them mixed. Or there's like a person with a violet and orange gene pool who's black coded passing, right? One of their parent has more like um, from a heritage from a historical South Asian population. But people just say she's a black girl. We won't apply the term mixed to them. Okay, so mixed, what is, it's not even really used. When we say mixed, we're just saying like looks uncommon. We either say we're saying that they look uncommon or unique or rare, or we're just saying that they're white adjacent, black adjacent, or caste coded. That's what we're saying when someone's mixed, right? Um, like some people have asked me if I'm mixed, what am I mixed with, but they don't really ask my sibling just because they have darker brown skin. But if I'm mixed, then they're mixed, right? I can get a little bit lighter than this. If I have a hat on or if my hair is cut, people from different like cultures will start talking to me in Spanish or something, and it will increase what are you mixed with, blah blah blah. But they never ask my dark brown sibling that. But we're both mixed. I mean, if I'm mixed, because mixed doesn't exist, but if I'm mixed, then they're mixed. But why don't you ask them? You're only asking me because I have these white coded associated features, these white cast adjacent features, these white coded adjacent features, right? And that's what people are really saying. Because you don't ask people like us, or you don't ask those people who you just assume is part of these made up categories if they pass as it, right? So that's not, so that's all we're really saying. So just say that. And then why is that such a concern? Like if I had curlier hair and maybe like, I don't know, green eyes or something, people would be like, yeah, she's mixed or he's mixed. That's mixed. Why? It's not mixed. A person can't be mixed. Um, but what you're really just saying is like white coded adjacent or cast coded mixed or mixed coded. Because that's all it is. There's no concept. The race doesn't exist. And that's another thing people are like, I'm biracial. How are you by something that doesn't exist? Um, it's a debugged concept. So why are people still identifying as saying that they can be racially mixed or biracial or this, that, and the fourth? Um, it's a debunked concept. Okay, so what you're really saying is, so yeah, basically, right? That person is just going. It's just that the reality is some people are, there's white coded features and there's black coded features, and I guess there's like maybe brown coded features. That's pretty much it. Um, right, where, so there's, and fine light features are white coded and dark brown bold features are black coded. Like you can see that constantly. Like people will say that I have this, some people will say this is a black nose, right? But I've seen other populations with a nose that looks practically just like this, but since it's with a combination of other features like white coded features, it's just a big nose, right, to some people. But when it magically comes on my nose, it's a black nose because bold features are black coded, right? When hair is, the more curlier your hair is, it's the more bolder it is. It's just because it grows out and up. Okay, it's just bold. So that's black. Bold features are black coded. Okay, so when that person is, you're just saying that that person has mixed coded features or white adjacent features or black features, which just has cast its vibes that you're even so concerned about that. You know what I'm saying? And then there's this thing where people are like, people seem to be confused with like coded and cast and culture because they'll say like, yeah, I mixed, but then you pivot to culture, but that's not the same thing. It's not inherent to being admixed. Okay, it's not inherent to being admixed. Like, um, if Eminem had a child, the rapper Eminem had a child with some black identified person, some violet person, then, or a purple person in the US, that child would be mixed, but they pretty much have the same culture, is what I'm saying. The same heritage, the same culture. US American culture, North American culture. Or that just can happen in other places. Those are not fixed together. You can't say that you're mixed and start talking about culture because then you can be of the same culture because culture is not genetic. So they shouldn't be inherently associated with each other. Like, huh? Like, there's people with Mexican heritage. Like, it just doesn't make sense. You know what I'm saying? Um, like maybe mixed caste would make more sense because that's what race is and what it's always been. It's a um, it's a caste status. There's black caste people, there's white caste people, there's brown caste people, tribal caste people. Um, that's all there is, right? Um, and because otherwise, then I don't want to be. And then that's sort of an intimate question, anyways. It's kind of a dehumanizing question, and I get it because I wanted to sort of know what the ingredients of that person was, but the ingredients are just Gaian. I look like this because I'm Gaian. I don't have white skin, brown skin. I have Gaian skin. At most, you could say, like, clearly I have some temperate adapted genes. That's what it is. Because that's another thing. People will be like, um, it's like that sort of white skin thing. So are genetically yellow people white? They have lighter skin. Like, it makes no sense. But I like this because I look like my parents. And because Gaians change and adapt. I'm not mixed. I'm just Gaian. A Gaian and a Gaian don't mix. That's implying as if they are these two totally different things, and we're not. We're just one thing.